Yep.
Woo! Where's Piggy? Where's Piggy?
I think the piggy's inside.
Oh. I got you too excited.
Toro. Come here. Can you see?
All right, how do you want to kick off our restart of Coaches Chat?
My goodness, I don't know. Well, we said dog. So guys, this is Toro.
Could you be friends with someone who doesn't like dogs? Are you friends with someone who doesn't like dogs?
I think it's like I've met people that
I'm talking
have.
like anti-dog, not to interrupt you. Anti-dog, like, ooh, I don't like dogs.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, my mom didn't really like dogs, and now she loves Toro.
She's changed.
Yeah, I think I had an experience with the dog when I was like around like teens that like made me nervous around them, and especially. But now it's so cool too because like bringing her here, and when you bring Mila here, it's very cool. There are more people that have dogs and know how to act around dogs, or they just like more people are aware how to act. You know what I mean? Like when not to do one of these. Like,
what are dog don'ts?
Don't reach down, because
You're
that gets them
invading their
excited.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them come up to you. They can smell you a little bit, but don't get like too excited. Almost ignore them.
Let's walk it through. Ready? You're a dog. This is me.
Yeah, it's gonna smell.
I don't even acknowledge you. Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Britt said this about eating. Tell me if you would do this. I was shocked. She goes, I just got back from vacation, and she goes, if I could take a pill that would give me all the like protein and like nutrients I needed, that would feed me the way food would, I would take that. So she didn't have to eat anymore. And I was like, my brain was like, what?
Yeah.
Would you do that?
No.
You like
I
eating?
love food.
I like eating too.
I like food. I like eating.
Yeah.
I think it's like part of the growing up and like the culture that I did. Like we sat around a dinner table and Toro. Oh, God. Yeah. You sat around and like even Shawn and I, like we have dinner together. We like sit down and talk and have conversation around eating, and then it's like fun to like talk about what we're gonna make. And so no.
You don't cook.
I do.
Doesn't he cook?
He does. He does 95% of the cooking.
You got it made.
I do. I'm very, very spoiled when it comes to that. However, Kelly, one of our members, got us the Le Creuset. It's like a Dutch oven.
Isn't that when you pass gas and you pull a blanket over someone's head?
Yes, but it's a French pan, and it's made out of ceramic, cast iron with like ceramic coating, and it makes the best chicken. So I've been cooking. I made breakfast on Sunday. I made dinner on Sunday.
Okay, I like this.
You cook a lot.
Always. And I like cooking. Even on vacation, like, I just like cooking.
Yeah.
You know? I was having this conversation with Al, and I think I might share something about it on later. We were talking about like how you start your day significantly impacts the rest of your day. So nutrition, right? What would you say is like a nutrition no for starting your day that a lot of people, like a mistake a lot of people make?
Yeah.
That you're aware of, like being in this space and nutrition and health and wellness.
Like not having protein in there. And that was me for a long time. Like I always had oatmeal. Always.
Well, we probably grow up like here's cereal,
Yeah.
which is carbs, and then a little milk, which is a little protein, but it's protein and fat, but it's just significantly like carbs and sugar, and then that sets a tone for the day.
Yep.
And then maybe we're not necessarily, the majority of us aren't necessarily taught how to start the day, and then it's desire. Okay, cereal. Well, it's not cereal as I evolve. It's English muffin or bagels or like things that are, I won't lie, they're tasty, but they set us into like those insulin spikes, fat storing, bad decisions the rest of the day. So.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like like you said, like every like couple of months, I'll like dive into a bagel.
Go off track.
Yeah, like a.
You like going off track.
Good old, like a good old, like I don't know, like that it's like a treat. But it's so funny. You're reminded that like I'll have a bagel and like literally an hour later I'll be starving. And I'm like, I'm so hungry.
Or, you know, it's unique is, again, going back to vacation. So how I thought about vacation was like, I thought this is how it was going to be, but I kind of pulled it back from that. I was like, I'll have like one meal a day that's just like what I would call like a zag, just like totally off the grid. So our first lunch, we get there. Actually, I'll rewind. I was talking to somebody about this too. When I go on a plane and it's an early plane, I'm not going to allow myself to succumb to what's available at the airport. I bring full-fledged meat in my Tupperware. So like I'm on the plane for 3 hours. I have steak. I have chicken. Yeah, they love food.
Oh, they do?
Oh yeah. So I have that already. Like it's just got a little honey glaze on it, some balsamic, and then I eat an apple and some nuts. Like I'm good to go. Mm-hmm. We land. We're like, okay, step one, let's find some place to eat. And so I'm like, I'm gonna eat. I had big eyes, and I make this mistake all the time when I eat, and I think you do too. I'm like, I could probably do fish tacos and a full spread meal. So I'm gonna get these fish tacos because you know how many you're gonna get. I got 3, which was a lot, and I'm gonna get a burger, like a bacon burger with fries,
you did both.
Sweet potato fries. Yeah. So then it comes. A really cool experience. We got to eat by the ocean. That was cool. Sounds cool. And they were like, if your food blows away, it's on you. We were like, what? You know, so it was like really windy. So I eat the fish tacos. They're great. And then I'm going into the burger and I'm like halfway and I'm like, I'm so full. Like I feel, of course, I'm like, I'm committed. And I paid for this. I want to eat this. And then it happens. I just feel like complete crap because my body doesn't eat bread. If at all, very rarely. The foods, all of it. I had a little bit of fries, and I was like, it's for me. I'm like, it's not worth it. But I will share this too, and my body pays such a price. This was really cool. The third night, how we did this to the kids too was funny. So like the kids were like winding down. It's like 8 o'clock, and I look at Britt and I'm like, do you want some ice cream? She's like, yeah. And like that's rare for me because like dairy just does not agree with my body. So I was like, okay. So I tried to have it delivered because you can have ice cream delivered. Mind blown. But then they're like, you need to download this app. I'm like, you're giving me chores. So I'm just gonna drive. And it was my first time because she drove the car mostly because like the kids and stuff. So now I get to drive, and I love driving. Just like I'll say within reason of speed, but fast. And I just felt great. So I get to this place. It was nitrogen infused ice cream. So they had this huge nitrogen tank. It was a cool whole experience. And the ice cream I got was coffee ice cream with almonds and chocolate chips. And I got hers, and I went back, and kids are just falling asleep out on the couch to the TV. So I get back, I'm I got this little brown bag, I boop, 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 to the room, and here we are just eating ice cream in bed, and I'm like, is this gonna affect me now? And it didn't. Man, I paid the price the next day. My body was like, what did you do? Yeah.
I've not yes, I'll eat sweets, but sweets are not my
salty.
So I'll just love.
Me too.
My goodness. And I'll indulge in that way, like tacos or a burger or a pizza, when it goes into that. But we've been making really great dinners, and we've been eating. We bought a bunch of Brussels sprouts, and there was this Instagram recipe that I followed. Very easy: balsamic vinegar, honey, kind of like what you do on your chicken, garlic, salt and pepper, and you roast them. And they become charred, and the honey and vinegar make them so crunchy and kind of gooey, and they taste. It's like candy. It's like eating candy. And Shawn and I have been eating so many Brussels sprouts, but we can just keep making it. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm making it, I'm like, when people don't like vegetables. And I remember going to a friend's house when I was very young, and I come from a family that flavors the heck out of their food with everything. My mother, coming from Trinidad, my other side, Italian. So I'm it's always flavor. And even when I cook, Shawn's like, man, you really flavor your food. I'm like, I have to. But I remember going to a friend's house, and it was like carrots and broccoli, but like no flavor. It tastes like that water. Like you can taste the vegetables. And I'm like, that's why people don't like vegetables.
Yeah.
Like you could like make vegetables taste really good. You know? It was like sweet and tangy. I was like, you can make anything taste good.
Do you have any, I know I probably have more than you. Do you have any rules around food? Like for yourself? Rules, structure, you know, whatever you want to call it, parameters, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I do. It's like protein's always my number one. Ever since that like started for me, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, when I first started like working with nutrition, because like I knew, and I say this because like a lot of people say this, it's like I knew what to eat. I knew I ate well. But I definitely didn't pay attention on like the amount of protein. Like I never knew that eat 1 gram per pound of body weight. Like I never, knew there was like the tracking everything. And when I started doing that is when I started seeing like the results that I want. So
what results did you see?
Like when we started getting the in-body again, like learning more about body composition, and again, like coming into like coaching, it was like coaching first, and nutrition I always just kind of like wanted to push it aside because it's like almost trauma for me, and a lot of ladies that I meet, and men, I'm sure, because it was always like looking away, and eating less means weighing less, and eating less means being skinny, and if you want to lose weight you have to eat less, and so it was really cool to be like I get to eat more, and that's when I learned, and that's when I started seeing like I could lift more weight, I could have more muscle, and right, the way that my body looks. So it's pretty cool because like even when I do kind of like go off track, which I was very diligent leading up to the wedding, and then it's like celebration, and then it was kind of like I don't have an event anymore, and I kind of like zagged a little bit, but like I could always go back to like the true north, and then all of a sudden it's like couple weeks of zagging, and then going back to this, I was like already my body's changing again, so makes me happy, and it's so easy. It's easier than I think people think.
Well, there was a time we worked together in nutrition, and I remember you saying in the beginning, like, Shawn, I can't eat the same things day to day. I need variety. And I don't think you knew at the time, and you could share, like, that just makes the journey, that mindset makes the journey exponentially harder. And you're almost creating a story of like where I can filter myself out.
Yep.
And I'm not saying people need to eat the same things every day, but having staples of protein, staples of, depending on your particular goal, whether that's vegetables, fruits, some form of carbohydrate that makes sense for you. And obviously like your knowledge around fats and like the kind of combination of those things, but like, and you can restructure them how you want. It's easier if you build some sort of semblance and consistency day to day, so you kind of take the decision fatigue aspect out of it. You're not recreating the wheel or just getting so frustrated of like, this is so complicated, and it's easy to go drive to something and pick up something or order something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and even if so that's definitely a rule, is like I'm always focusing on protein. Like I eat almost the same thing for breakfast every day, whether it be like the 20-gram yogurt protein, that's like such an easy go-to. My mom has found these like egg white bites that are really kind of like macro friendly, and they're easy, pop them in, like the microwave, and actually one of our members gave us the recipe for that, so that's easy, like so like that's really easy. My lunch is always like the same. Yesterday I always buy like a couple of those pounds of ground turkey, and I'll make it, and I'll have half one day, half another, and then I usually put it over some like rice or veggies or something. And then dinner's always fun. Shawn and I have been like really dialing in. What's so great about him is that like because he is not as focused on it as I am, but when I kind of like, I was like, hey, I need to like get back on track. He's like, great, what do we need to do? So he's always like really supportive when it comes to that.
Yeah, you guys have always had such a great teamwork relationship, and that's something that just in knowing you, whether whoever's watching this, like we've known each other for, was this year 13? Long time, and you have such a, what I would say from an outsider looking in, like a healthy relationship for that, like this person maybe not necessarily being in this aspect of your life, but fully supporting where you want to go with it and being such a team player for that. And I commend him on that, and just like both you guys for both directions.
Yeah,
that's really great.
Maybe going back to the maybe if we get into habits like maybe Britt like with the not eating because the chore around it. And I remember you said something about that, like sometimes like cooking could feel like a chore, and that's why it's so easy to go the easy route, which is pick something up, order something, go for something fast, right? But maybe you could like bring that back to her where it's like, hey, let's enjoy cooking together, and let's make food taste delicious. You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure when like I move in or we like that happens, like taking that off her plate, because I think about her, and coming off this vacation, and I shared this with you, I have so much more respect having been in it and seen it, like mom of two, full-time nurse, makes this a priority, her self-care, just the whole gambit. And I'm like, yeah. And she's so good, and she's so like, I feel like the areas where I see my weaknesses, she's so strong in. And I'm just like, my respect level just was like skyrocketed, like, wow. Yeah. And taking that off her plate, right? Like, I can help, by doing that, because I like to do that stuff, or even like, it's funny, on vacation, she's like, let's use the dishwasher. I'm like, I like doing dishes. Like, for me, it's something like, I don't know, it's like soothing, maybe it's like task accomplishment. Like, I like just like, and I like, if they make them, I like to like clean them as I go.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it sounds bad.
But I admire that so much, because that would be the pill.
That's the pill?
That would be like the dishwasher broke in our house. And I think it's just because we do like...
You let it pile up.
So we had a dishwasher. I put something in it. It fell to the bottom, and it's supposed to spin. It got wedged in there, and all of a sudden I woke up the next day and I was like, why does it smell like smoke? And
you burned that thing out.
I burned it. I burned the motor, the whole entire thing. I was like, holy smokes. And I was like, we have to get a new dishwasher like today. Like, we have to. For me, it's time. Like, it buys me back time, because like, instead of doing 10 minutes to 15 minutes of dishes, I'd rather just fill up the dishwasher and go sit on the couch with this one. Because usually by the end of the day, I'm just like, You know what my favorite part of the dog is? A dog.
The little hair between the toes?
The little hair between the toes.
Oh my goodness. Would you ever get a Toro tattoo?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it could replace your
My what?
I was gonna say your tramp stamp. I don't believe that.
I mean, it would have to be like a big one.
Little paw print.
And they have all these like cute things on Instagram. Like the thing that you got me, I saw that come up, and now they have this like, it's like a paw ornament, so you could like do a paw and like put it on an ornament for like your tree. I don't know, and then like the thing that you look through. Because I haven't had a dog since I was young.
You had apprehensions too in the beginning.
I know, and it's just like, they just want love. This one just wants love.
And I feel like such teachers of like things we need to be reminded of if we're like allow ourselves to be aware of, like, let it go quick. Like, for like, it happened, boom, like, let it go. Don't hang on to it. That eating and sleeping priority, some activity, unconditional love. Like, it's just like these basics that I was like, it's just reminders all the time.
Yeah.
That being excited when I'm gonna go home and I'll probably haven't seen her for a few hours, and just like the excitement. It's like, wanting to touch and connect.
I think, well, this is a conversation that we had too, is like being like the fulfillment, the enjoying the little things. I think we get caught up, especially here. We openly admitted to each other and to other members about like taking things very personally and holding on to things. And that's difficult, but I think now, like, being able to have a really true idea of what we want, who we want, who the people that we're welcome, like, that are coming into this community, and the people that are welcoming each other, and the programming that we're building, and it's like being so fulfilled at work and being so fulfilled outside of work because of these little things, you know what I mean? And overhearing the conversation that you had even with Duncan today, like, I love that we went through the different like all the different ebbs and flows along the years, and who helped build and come and go and all these things, and like now 12 years later, my goodness, like I have a really strong understanding of who we are and where we want to go.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's interesting when I wrote that thing for the 40 under 40, like going back through that arc and just revisiting, like, and we even kind of talked about this, like the idea or ideology changing of what does this mean, and what is this for me from a fitness standpoint, like using myself as an example, coaching standpoint, the business standpoint, the evolution of those things, and your priorities kind of like evolving over time, you know, and I think going back to like taking it personal, it's like you get so rooted into like maybe like morphing all the effort and your maybe even a bit of your ego into what you're putting in, and it becomes like this, and just making everything like that happens, whether someone doesn't greet you or someone's got poor energy or someone, you know, something about the workout or just the millions of things that we get kind of thrown our way in a week time span of, you know, just being like, you know, knowing what you are trying to do. I think this story I was telling myself, know what you're trying to do in this world, like the dent of health, the dent of well-being, when it feels like the enemy is so, it's like the force is so big, because it's not just one, it's the, you know, the advertisements, the way the grocery store is designed, the stuff you're kind of like fed, maybe even like if you kind of go down like a weed of rabbit hole of like, I even mentioned to you, like when I was at this restaurant, like the options were so limited to like unhealthy food. And it's like, that felt like it forced you into making a decision if you wanted to eat here, and now you're stuck here at the airport, that you have to make. And it's really, excuse me, it's really limited. So it's like that, then, you know, you enter like the doctor into the equation, the big pharma, the insurance, it's a spiral web. So zooming back, you know, out and then into us, it's like knowing that you're just at the core level trying to help move the needle in people's health, well-being, and mood, like their happiness, like you're worthy, you're important, we acknowledge you. And I think realizing, and how well we do it too, like, and to pat ourselves on the back, like having been around, having our people been around, had other experiences, realizing that the bar is really low, like the bar is really low at other places, and that's just not how we choose to do it. Like priding ourselves on certain standards and evolutions, and not even just in the application day to day, how we treat people. You get something written to you a certain way that's even like that, and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna show up the same way. I'm gonna show up like my highest version of myself, the best I can. You know, so all of that kind of like interwoven, and it's growth. It's our growth. It's us growing. You know, it's us growing with this process, and I think also being okay with over time, like accepting versus resisting, letting people go.
Yeah.
Right. Like whether that's travel, whether that's change of pace, whether that's different visions and values, and like that's cool. You know, it's okay. It's okay. Knowing, I think at the core, reminding ourselves we had, whether it's a former teammate, whether it's a former member years ago, it's like we had a positive impact. Great, you know, like, and we can rest our laurels on that, and then learn from our mistakes, the mistakes that we're human beings and we make those too, you know. So, and
it's really cool to like filter in, like, because now having like Coach Erin coming into it, and having it be this, you know, maybe if she had different experience along her journey as coaching, and like coming into here and being like, wow, like I got to experience this way, the way that this gym was run and the coaches around, and you know, and then I got to experience this, and now she gets to experience this. So I also to appreciate like how everybody does it, and like how great it is that all of these gyms and health centers and fitness centers can all exist within the you know, the miles radius, or like across the United States, across the world, and all be different, and you can always like kind of like plug and play where you want to be. And I like, so going back to that, I think just like going off of the programming after last week into this week, it's really great to hear people appreciate how much they realize that we care about their well-being and their bodies and all of their things, like the moms and dads who want to add years on their life to play with their kids, the people that don't want to be in pain anymore, or the people that unfortunately have experienced injury, prior to coming into this environment, and how we can still have them feel involved and always have something for them. You know what I mean?
For sure. And maybe that's like worth us to talk about. Like I wanted to find some way to communicate about this, and we talked about this briefly, and we can kind of ping back and forth. Like we both started, so my fitness journey began at like 17, and it began with like learning how to bodybuild, and then in the military kind of evolved to like superset, circuit set, like trying to be fit. And then obviously like when I was thinking about in the military, fitness is also used as a punishment. So it's like making sure that you don't warp your view around fitness of like, oh, because you messed up, you have to do X, Y, and Z, a lot of that. And it can really abuse your mindset around this amazing thing of like, health. And I get it, it didn't do that for me, but I could see how it could do that for other people. And okay, so that time period, and then like, okay, really coming into CrossFit on my own, not having tried it in a gym under a coach, anything like that, trying it on my own and being like, what is this thing? It's hard, it's difficult. I kind of like that. I like the aspect of being well-rounded and fit, and I found I had holes. Took a time, maybe like 6 months, and worked specifically in an Olympic lifting gym, under an Olympic lifting coach, who really only said 4 words to me every time. I would set up for any lift, and he'd be like, back tight, big pull. Every time. Like no other source of guidance. Back tight, big pull. He was Cuban. And I was like, all right, how was it? Back tight, big pull. And I watch some of those lifts now, and I'm like, they were awful. Because my back, again, my amazing to think of now, because of being a good mover and aware of my body. Back then, it was like rounded back, like, like not aware. And maybe that's why he was saying that, right? But CrossFit was, and maybe similar for you, like very exciting when I first got into it. The training, the variance, the communal aspect once I got into, railroad, fun. And now having done this for CrossFit for, this is like my 13th going on 14th year, particular CrossFit, and then in railroad going on year 13 or 12, 13. It's evolved so deeply, like this time period of like really trying to be competitive with it, and maybe like really getting all these high level skills down and moving well, and trying to take it to a really high level and still coaching other people through that. And that's where my mind was at of like what's important, and they were kind of coincided in an aspect. And then as I phased out of being, into the competitive realm, phasing it down into the priorities of, and maybe even in injury really helping this too, of like what's really important. And even in conversation of meeting a lot of people, what do people want? And at the core, it's my understanding and belief, a lot of us kind of want similar general things. We want to be strong. And strong to me is like, I want to feel strong, I want to feel capable, I want to feel I'm not limited in what I feel I can do with my body. And that could be in and out of the gym. I want to look good and feel good for what that means for me. And that's probably going to always be on a continuum, because maybe we're never going to be truly satisfied, but I should say look, feel good, and mentally as well, like kind of those trifecta there. So those two right there are like probably float to the top. And then, below that is general wellness, fitness, and longevity, right?
Yeah.
It's not so much, I want to hear at least anymore. It's like, I want to get really good at clean and jerking. Maybe that was a time long ago. And that's where we've evolved to now is our mindsets, our maturity, our growth, our mentality, and then even how we approach programming, the view of like, we're a strength and conditioning gym that will utilize aspects of CrossFit, remove aspects of the program that we've seen for myself, for you, for the general population as a whole, in my opinion, like that maybe don't serve us at a mass level. The high technical skill, high technical demand on joints that maybe people need a lot more time and exposure that maybe they're not willing to necessarily commit to, because I know what it took to commit to that. Like when I was thinking about how I got good at snatching and clean and jerking and these high level gymnastics, I was committing hours a day across years of training to that. And then, knowing what that takes to be and I say this like humbly, to even not be good enough to be like at the highest level, but to be good, but like not good enough to competitively. And then I think an injury really kind of like honing in like what's important. And then that opened the landscape of learning more about training in cycles and training in ways that we can preserve strength. We can think of this thing differently. We're like, let's take the best from CrossFit, let's take the best from these certain programs, and let's utilize them the best that we can while creating a really fun environment, an inclusive environment, like matters in the values of us. I mean, this is such a rabbit hole for me. I could probably go like thousands of angles, maybe help.
I just thought of something, because I think that lately, well, I don't want to say lately because it's been across the years as a member and then even more so as a coach. But I think like even more recent, I've become so connected to people's stories. And again, we have such a cool, diverse community where, for myself, I'll go myself first, like being a dancer and athlete in college, like, you know, you feel, you get fulfillment and kind of like this like feeling important and gratifying from like sports and being competitive and doing this thing. It's like organized sport, and you go and it's structured and it's wonderful, right? And then all of a sudden you kind of lose that through college, and then you kind of lose that into your adolescence, where I remember just being like, I don't do anything. I go to work, I come back, and then like I go out with friends and like everything, and I felt like I just needed something else. And I remember when like you come in and then all of a sudden it's like I just go and I have fun and I'm able, and then all of a sudden my body, and then I'm feeling good in my body again, where I lost myself a little bit for a couple of years there, and all of a sudden I'm becoming to like recognize myself, and I'm fitting in, you know, even that kind of like sounds silly to say out loud, but you're making these friends as an adult. So that's like in a nutshell my story. But then now it's like, one, people relate where they were active all their life, and then they had this interim of just stopping, you know, whether it be 1 year, 10 years, 5 years, and that's when they just again lose themselves into other things, and then getting back into it and like, oh my God, all of a sudden they get it back, that feeling of confidence. Or I can't tell you how many people now are like, I hated gym class. I was the last one picked. I just I felt less than all over. And then now it's like, man, I can work alongside here, and I can do this, and I can run a mile, like I can do a push-up, I can squat, you know, I can do all these things. So that's what I think is wonderful, because the things that we learned, where high skilled movements or high volume, is when people come here several days in a row and there's always one thing that they're just not able to do, or a lot of things, it turns into,
I don't want to do that.
That feeling of, you know, or I'll never be good enough, or I'm never going to do this, or I'm never going to do that. And that's not like,
it's not the space we want to create.
That's not this, exactly. Yeah. And again, that's not taking away or discounting what we've done in the past or what others do. It's just like, it feels so good to have people, like one person, you know, not even one, multiple people being like, I did everything on the board today. Or, you know, I got my first rope climb at 65 years old, or, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or one woman in life class, the other day we were hanging, and she's like, I can't hang. And she's been here for months and months and months, and we always do a little adjustment there. And I was behind the desk, Susan, and like the cutest thing, she's like, she's like, I'm hanging, and she hung for 30 seconds.
Wow. And
came off the bar, like tears in her eyes. And that is just like, that was like the most wonderful thing, you know? So it goes back to like being very certain onto what we have now. So like the strength and the conditioning core, taking aspects of it and making people feel really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, one is like, Susan's story is amazing. I think creating a space where people can thrive, because like exercise and like this aspect of, like you mentioned, whether it's your stories or just in general, very vulnerable. You know, I'm challenging myself, I'm uncomfortable. This, like, a lot of people still struggle with this as adults. I don't want to be last. If I'm last, I'm whatever they attach to that. All these things. And then just dealing with like, I'm being uncomfortable, like like you're not dying, like you're challenging yourself, right? So like creating a space where you, me, Aaron, and all the previous teammates who we've evolved is like creating a space where people can come in and like we step by step take them through, guide them, communicate, lead them, teach them, give them the strategies, give them avenues if that's not appropriate, and also see what you just mentioned, that stuff. Then the other side is like, man, I know I do, and like it kind of extrapolates out to the teammates. Like I look at it so into the depth of like people should be able to passively hang, and what that does for the joint of the shoulder, the rotator cuff, XYZ, and not putting the precedence on like a barbell snatch or a one-legged squat where, okay, when I look at the human body and knowing it's like muscle groups and, if we don't have hamstrings developed, what that can lead to, or, the risk of things, or having no butt, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. Having no butt, it's a big problem. The butt is the powerhouse of the lower half, and I just share that like half jokingly, but half serious of like, more demands of life cause sitting. Mm-hmm. Like sitting is like the new smoking, and just what movement can do. So creating a space of looking at movement just differently. Mm-hmm. Like what's going to benefit a body structurally? What's going to benefit muscular imbalances? What's going to benefit? And like a lot of that moving the needle is in consistent strength training.
And I think we always make examples out of the life class because a lot of them are coming in at 50 and older, mm-hmm. one, never having done any sort of exercise in their life, or two, not doing it in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
So those are very easy stories to share because they're just so wonderful. Like, again, being able to like touch your toes, mm-hmm. or being able to chop wood.
Well, when you hurt your back, remember how you were like, I could put my sock on. Mm-hmm. It's like the basic things are like my shoulder, like I could put my shirt on without discomfort. Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't really appreciate those things until you start to lose those things. So yeah. we're starting to be forward thinking of like, well, let's not lose those things, or let's improve on those things to not lose them.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting too, because again, going through the injury and like reading a lot of things as I'm rehabbing myself and going to physical therapists, and it's really a thing. Like I don't think that we understand as a whole, as a human race, that if you don't put your arms up over your head consistently, you're going to lose range of motion, and you're not going to put over my head. I remember when my dad, again, he started lifting weights at 80 years old, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. and couldn't, and didn't realize that he couldn't put his arms over his head. Mm-hmm. Like didn't realize until he had to do it, and then he was like, I can't put my arms up over my head. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, being so proud of that, like being so proud of being like, look at this, mm-hmm. and that means more to me, and I know like more to you. And of course the other things, yes, impress me incredibly when someone can do a bar muscle up, or someone can, sprint 400-meter run under a certain amount of time, do mm-hmm. all the things. Of course it does. It makes me extremely proud as a coach, as a human being, but like those little things, like those little victories are just like, whoo, dang.
Yeah. And maybe where I draw from too is like personal experience. Like there was a time when, I'll use myself again, I was able to do all these really incredible things in my eyes in terms of like fitness, like snatch 260 at 175, walk over 100 feet on my hands, do 20 muscle ups, like, wow, cool. And then now being like, and now what? Mm-hmm. Like they served something, and if anything, it helped me understand fitness better, movements better, my body better. Mm-hmm. But now, some years removed, it's like, a back squat for me is still a back squat. Mm-hmm. Squatting is still a squatting. And so those things, not to take away from like, they're cool, but the importance of some of those things, again, general, like what we're aiming to do, like I want to feel good, look good, move good, enjoy life on my terms, which is freedom through fitness. And I know that's like where we agree with this. And then just creating it where it can be fun. So when you go back to like, I wonder if people know this about CrossFit. There's a guy in the space, and he's so spot on about this. People get a good amount, and not knocking CrossFit, but just like if it's done, if that's the main thing done, and how we do it a little differently is like, you'll get newbie gains for like 6 months because your body's adapting to just change, and it's fun and exciting. We all experience that. But then you kind of hit a plateau point because real consistent results are going to come from lifting pretty consistently week to week of like, okay, we talked about this. I back squat 100 pounds, 3 sets of 5 on Monday. Next week, I'm going to do 3 sets of 6 at the same weight, or a little heavier, same reps. And like, okay, what that does, you know, and then again, then it goes further into like joint health. And like you just mentioned, like keeping this stuff healthy and preserved and not just trying to get in a good workout for the sake of a good workout, because CrossFit's conditioning, you know? And one thing when you mentioned like the range is I've thought about, I'm proud as coaches how we both took like your back injury or my shoulder injury, and injuries are just part of the course, right? It's not something that like, I don't think, like if it happens, it doesn't necessarily mean like you or I or anybody did anything wrong. It's like, I'd rather experience an injury, work through it, learn from it. And this is what I mean. It's like, we learn from it and then we gave gifts out back into our people versus what's the alternative? Like not moving, being sedentary, being a couch potato all day and not exercising, like because you're afraid of the possibility. Like we're human beings, things are gonna happen. So, you know, with my shoulder, it made me so much more intelligent and in tune with my own body and others, and how we can start approaching programming at a whole, one-on-one, all this stuff better through all the research done. And then the professionals that I've worked with, same thing for your back and what we can give to other people. So like our misfortunes are actually our gifts to give back to people. And I'm really proud how, you know, we've utilized that. And that's just part of, you know, the shift in all of this too, of like the ideology of like how we can better help humans, because our people here are, I would say, somewhere in the range of like mid 30s to like 70s plus. And we're all going to be continually aging. And we want that to be a really graceful bettering process, not I'm so sore, so beat up, so hurt, so banged up that I can't go to work or play with my kids, and like that's not the goal.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And that's what's great too, is that we keep people, I know we're kind of patting ourselves on the back here, but we keep people so healthy that when we sprinkle it in
CrossFit.
Yeah, and those really, like I said, high school movements, and whether people have had them across their journey and they get to pull them out and have fun with it, or someone new like is like, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna try that, and then they do it because again, it's like I enjoy that. So I enjoy that, and I don't know if you could agree. Like I enjoy that so much more.
It's funny to me when they're surprised.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised I PR my split jerk. I haven't done it in so long. It's like everything affects everything because your shoulders are so much stronger. We've done all this stuff. It's like, of course, if you move well, like the door can be open. You don't need to do the thing always to improve the thing. What would you do job-wise if you weren't a coach that would elicit the same, maybe, or I should say a similar joy and passion?
Man.
I
was going more towards if I had to, like, God forbid anything happened and I had to like find a job for financial reasons. Like I know what that job would be.
What?
Like bartending. Easy money. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, you did that a lot.
Yeah.
Is that what your joy job would be?
No.
Okay.
Oof, I don't even know.
I don't know either.
Ooh, maybe like something with animals.
A professional dog hugger?
Yeah. Like if, learn how to train dogs. When we went to Spur, there's like the center that's right next door there. Did you see that?
No.
Like right next to Dr. Nick? In the back, there's like a center for dogs.
Oh yeah?
And there was like 20 dogs outside, and all these people were like, all these like girls were like playing. They were like feeding them. They were letting them run around the cage, and I was like, that's cool. That's what I would do. What would you do? Sit down. Okay, good.
I'd be a dentist.
No, you wouldn't.
I know.
Sit down.
I don't even know if this is a job. It might sound silly. I'd like to I would work 4 days, have 3 days off.
Nice.
And I would work no more than 4 hours a day.
Fun.
This is like perfect world scenario. And each day I would watch or listen to one video, like say like of a podcast or of something that can be of use to other people, and then I would download the most important nuggets and then broadcast them out in the world.
You've thought about this before.
Well, I thought, well, Britt and I talked about a vacation because she brought it up. She was like, "What would you do?" And I was like, "I don't know," because like when I thought about like there was a former version of myself would be like, I would like to travel and experience like different hotels in every state, right, or something like that. But then I'm like, I really don't care for traveling, and I really like being with Mila. So like this job would allow me to be home with Mila and maybe even like Britt and the kids at times, and learn and grow, and then give that gift back out to other people to say like,
that's cool.
Yeah, like so,
I love that.
You can't have my job. Okay, we're hired. Where do you wanna close? Do you snore?
Oh yeah.
You're a mouth open.
Oh, sometimes I have to like sleep with water by the bed because sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and my mouth is so damn dry.
Again, going back to vacation, I was cracking up. Both kids would push themselves, not in a like push themselves, but they would exert so much energy. By it was time to go to sleep, they would both be mouth open snoring, and like in the craziest positions. Like her son would be like sitting up and he'd be like, and I'm just like, this is the funniest thing, you know? Or like her daughter on the plane home.
Because they don't want to mess up. They don't want to miss anything.
I don't know. I just thought it was the cutest and funniest thing, you know? I don't think I snore unless I'm like super duper tired.
I mean, I don't like wake myself up snoring, you know?
Do you dye your hair?
What's that?
Do you dye your hair?
No.
If you go gray?
Are you looking at my grays?
If you go gray, are you going to?
I'm embracing them.
Are you gonna just let them flow?
I don't think I'm gonna have I would have a full head of gray hair like my mother.
Yeah.
Like my mother has this beautiful white hair.
We have another 10 years maybe? Or you think you're gonna hold on to some black for a while?
Why not?
Are you gonna have kids?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want? Let's put it to the test. Do you want? And I know you. It wouldn't even be kids. It would be childs. It would be one and done. Would you name him if Shawn was like, let's name him Shawn? Would you go?
No, I think we'd have to name him Robert.
Why?
After his father.
Okay, if you were to name the middle name Shawn, would you
S-E-A-N.
go with? Why?
Because
You've known me for 12 years.
You know why.
You've known me for 12 years. Throw me a bone.
You know why. S-E-A-N.
Gosh.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What do you think?
You know, this is now we're getting personal, right?
Hit me.
The honest truth, and I share this very openly because it's been something I always think about. In my 20s, I absolutely had the 100% wanted kids. It was like, you know, with someone, get married young, have kids, do the thing. I remember everybody around me whenever they had kids. I love kids. I love babies. I love holding babies. I love playing with kids. And the urge was so strong and so strong and so strong and so strong and so strong. And then, you know, like you live, and then you like all of a sudden, like that urge went away. Like I like almost like it wasn't as strong. And then I almost like went through guilt. Excuse me, guilt with like, am I gonna give my parents grandkids? You know, I have the gift of being able to birth a child. Am I going to not have that? Like all these things. But then just life took me where it took me. And, you know, I mean, being 39 years old, I still feel like I'm 30 years old, you know, and I still feel like I have plenty of time to decide if I want to, you know, which I might be able to. But again, you know, to share openly, like it's something that it's not like that desire's gone and now things have changed. And Tora, what do you think? Do you want a little one? Do you want another a puppy brother?
A puppy.
I know. What about you?
Kids?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Tora, come. Jump up. Can you jump? Good girl.
Wow.
Good girl. Can you sit?
Oh, so good.
So now you guys are gonna have like a little troop.
A little clan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my guest too would be like a girl.
Yeah?
Be a little girl.
Like you
as a
would want
guest.
to, or
Candy too, if she sees this, she's like, you're having a girl too. So I'm cool with, you know, whatever, but I would. Yeah. Is it time? Okay, we'll wrap it up there. We covered a wide array of topics. We'll share this to our YouTube, and if people want to comment topics to unpack, we'll just unpack more.
Yay!
Until next time.
Say goodbye, Toro.
Bye.